evening. I'm Jan Kowalski with Greenslate I, and tonight I'm joined by Dr. Philander Ratliff. Hi, Dr. Ratliff.
How you doing?
And tonight we're going to be listening to Dr. Ratliff give us some music. I'm really excited about that. But this is a live interactive show on CanTV, channel 21. We're also streaming online at cantv.org/hotline. And tonight we're going to find out more about what Dr. Philander's been doing lately. And for the next 25 minutes, you're more than welcome to join the discussion by calling us on the number appearing at the bottom of your screen. You can call in with any comments, questions, or concerns. But before we get into seeing what Dr. Ratliff has been doing, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm here on behalf of Greenslate I. Here's the information. Greenslate I, their founder is Ziff Sistrunk, and you can reach them at 217-600-1846. Their website is Greenslate Institute for Justice at Weebly.com, and their email is greenslate.instituteforjustice@gmail.com. And me, of course, I'm Jan Kowalski McDonald, and back to my overhead. There I am, Jan Kowalski McDonald. And to help you remember my name, I've got a picture of coal and a wall and some skis. We're putting it all together into Kowalski. So you might be tempted to call me, sorry. Technical difficulties, bear with me. You might be tempted to call me Kawasaki. This is a little pink Kawasaki motorcycle here. But no, it's actually Kowalski. And try to think of my cute little koala here is 100% qualified. So let me tell you a little bit about Greenslate I Incorporated. Greenslate is founded by Mr. Sistrunk, and it's designed to help ex-convicts. They have any number of programs, including Feeding the Families of Inglewood. They have a Kirby's Kids Camp. They also have a community service program through the Circuit Court of Cook County. So if you have to fill any of those community service hours, please call Greenslate at 217-600-1846. And hello!
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Philander Ratliff. For those people who didn't see you on our show last time, perhaps you can tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, we only have 25 minutes, so...
make it short then, okay?
Well, I'm currently working as a registered nurse. I've worked at the county system, Cook County Hospital. I've also worked there in trauma, ICU. So over the past 25 or so years, I decided to start recording music about the public health disparities. So one of the songs that I wrote was called Don't Use Coke, It'll Make You Choke, dealing with the opioid crisis. And currently I'm teaching guitar lessons in Roseland at the Impact Family Center. And I teach kids from 6 years old all the way to 21 years old. And lastly, I attended medical school, IUHS. I completed medical school last year, and I'm going to be focusing on psychiatry with substance abuse as well, behavior modification, and patients with PTSD. And I relate that to the children over at Roseland because of the public health disparity of drugs, violence, gang affiliation, stuff like that. We try to deter these children into doing things that are positive in the community through music and music therapy.
Well, can you tell me, what is the disparity you're talking about?
Well, right now the public health disparity is the opioid crisis that we're dealing with throughout the country, and how it affects the community. So initially, maybe about 30 years or so ago, it was just focused in the poverty area or the low socioeconomic residents, but now it's spread throughout the country. So everyone's in a state of panic right now. So we need programs like Impact Family Center to do interventions as well as other programs. My brother runs a program called Eternal Light Foundation in Maywood. But any program is better than no program to have a positive outcome with the children. And
when you mean opioid crisis, are there any specific drugs that are problematic? Or is it...
Well, there's narcotics. You have heroin, you have cocaine and stuff like that. But the most powerful one, opioid they're using now is like Norco as well as heroin. And a lot of people who are using it are substance abuse users or just people that are experimenting with the opioids. And what it can do is shut down the central nervous system, which is the heart and the lungs. And by the time the first responders get there, sometimes it's too late. So I know DuPage County had a huge opioid crisis about a year ago, a couple of years ago. So now the first responders are given, it's called Narcan, or nasal injection or sub-Q injections of Narcan, which blocks the receptors of the opioid, so you can't have that effect anymore. So it reverses the opioid effect.
Do you know if the first responders in Cook County have that as well?
I believe they've had it for a while, because I know a lot of people a lot of paramedics on the rig would bring the patients in. They giving them a vial of Narcan, or a dose that comes in like 4 milligram doses of Narcan. They shoot it, and hopefully it reverses the effects of the opioid.
Wow, that's something.
Yeah, pretty intense.
But does that Narcan, does it just reverses the short-term effects? You still need hospitalization?
Yeah, it blocks the short-term effects, but sometimes a lot of people piggyback narcotics as well as other drugs like alcohol and stuff like that. The Narcan will reverse that effect of the opioid, but at the same time, the effect of the alcohol is like a first pass. It takes several hours for it to detoxify. So say if you have 100% of alcohol in your body, which is almost impossible, but it takes 1 hour at a time. Instead of Narcan, it blocks it right away.
Oh.
But it won't block the alcohol effect. You have to give other drugs to block the alcohol effect.
And let me ask you, Dr. Philander, why do you think we have an opioid crisis? Are the drugs that powerful, or is it just society's method of coping here?
Yeah, I think it's...
Caller, we have a caller. Caller, do you have a comment or question for Dr. Ratliff?
I sure do. How you doing, Miss?
Hi, Ray.
Walski? How you doing? And the doctor there. You know, I used to drive the bus, CTA bus, and when I drove the Michigan route, I used to pass Roseland Hospital all the time.
Which hospital did you say?
The Roseland Hospital.
Oh, Roseland Hospital. Okay.
Yes, and it was a mess. It was a mess.
Yeah.
But I want to say this: if the good doctor there has the courage, plus the knowledge, schooling to teach people at Roseland Hospital, I give them a lot of credit, because there's a lot of doctors that want to go to Roseland Hospital for the reasons that I just said about drugs and stuff and how bad it is. But I really give them a lot of credit.
Thank you. Thank you.
So do I. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that.
Appreciate it, Ray.
But Dr. Ratliff, were you at Roseland Hospital, or do you teach at Roseland at the Impact Center?
Well, Roseland Community, I teach in 113th and Hosset with the youth, but I worked there as a nurse before. I've worked at Jackson Park, and he's correct. I work at Jackson Park, Roseland, Cook County Hospital in the emergency room, and when they're on those drugs, it's almost, they're at death's door. So you're trying to bring them back, using Narcan or whatever way you can to get them back on their feet.
Well, is it because the drugs are more powerful nowadays, or is it because people have a death wish?
No, I think it's a part of a coping mechanism, and a lot of people have different personalities. Like there's type A, type B. You have people that are real impressionable on things, especially our youth, and they go by a dare. So one of their friends may say, hey, let's try this new drug. It may get you to a higher level, and they don't know the effects of it, and then they become addicted, or they perish with it, using it.
Wow. Oh, and you also teach at the Impact Center, is that right?
Yeah, I teach guitar, basic guitar to the children.
And I think Dr. Ratliff brought his guitar with him.
Yeah, I've been playing for about 45 years. My experience is I had cancer in 1971. And when I went through my chemo...
And you're here to talk about it.
Here to talk about it, yes. Praise God. So,
Praise God.
I went through my chemotherapy, and I was playing the guitar at the same time.
But Dr. Phil, you still don't have your hair back.
Yeah, that was the higher dose of chemo. But no, I just started losing hair into my 20s when the kids start popping up. That has nothing to do with the cancer.
That has to do with bearing children. I understand.
Exactly. Okay. So, even with the chemotherapy, man, and the cancer I had, radiation and all that, I went through over 5 or 6 years of chemotherapy, and it was really intense. But just like the cancer in the street, with the drugs and the violence, I had my family and God. I had my teachers and everybody to cope with and to help me get out of that part of that crisis in my life. The kids right now, they really don't have anywhere to turn to except each other. So the Impact program and other interventional programs as far as post-school or after-school programs are really, really imperative. And we need to start doing those programs again, bringing music into the school. I don't know about prayer, but just music and things like that. So.
Well, Dr. Ratliff, if someone is addicted to opioids, what would your advice to them be?
Well, through my training in medical school, patients get on methadone, there's a certain dosage that will start to alleviate the craving for the narcotic, and it's a replacement, it's a synthetic narcotic. So methadone is a controlled substance, but also you have to do behavior modification, you have to do family therapy. It's a long process where it doesn't happen overnight, even though the addiction may have seemed to happen overnight, but it was always brewing inside somebody until they just got to that point where they can't control it anymore. So.
Wow. And is it true that you have a new song about the opioid crisis?
Yeah, I mean, I did a song, I did a video, it's called Forever Cured, and I shot the video about 2 weeks ago under the director of Chi Chi Cotton, he was our director, and a young lady from Chicago Med, her name is Christy Tate, she's one of the actresses, and they call her Goddess of Love on Facebook.
Wow.
God is love. I'm sorry, not Goddess of Love. God is love.
God is love.
Yes, and then I have a young lady, a 7-year-old named Angel Black, and then Ellen was the singer on the video. Her name is Ellen Malone. She's a medical student as well. So, oh, one more thing, Matthew Eglin Daniels. He was the Grim Reaper. Oh. And he was the gentleman who played that. He's part of the Impact program. And all of the video, 99% of the video was shot at the Impact Family Center in Roseland community. So, well, hats off to
I don't think can we show the video or no? Any parts of it?
I don't know if we can focus on it.
Yes. If you could turn it on, I'll gladly do it. But you got to put it right here.
Oh, well, okay.
Go to overhead. Yes, I'm going to overhead. Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
You got to put it right here.
Okay, well, technology is kind of slow or so.
Just give us a second. We're going to pull up the video.
But it was a lot of fun shooting it, and you know, the storyline is the person's on drugs, and they were forced to go back to the church, but they didn't really do it, so they succumbed to it. And as I find the file,
and this is your original.
This is my original track from Forever Cured
that you've written the lyrics for and the music as well.
Yeah, I wrote the music and everything about 4 or 5 years ago. But you just have the video and it's just... I just added a video concept to it.
And this is not for profit, is it?
No.
I'm
the creator of this.
It's just to give publicity to the opioid crisis.
It's free on Facebook. Now, is that a phone call? Okay, now the video will play.
All right, here we got to put it. We got to put it flat.
Oh, flat?
Well, we can't. I don't think we have time for the whole video here.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. Good. That is one.
To be with you forever.
Great.
What are you doing here?
Who are you talking about?
Man, why are you here? Get out of my life.
Who are you talking about?
You don't see him?
What's going on?
You don't see him?
No.
Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Is everything okay?
Yes, my stomach.
Are you sure?
Oh, my stomach.
Is you okay?
Yes.
Who are you talking
My
about?
stomach.
Pierre, are you okay?
Stomach.
I don't think Pierre made it. I think that's when I think our lovely lady should have called the 911, right?
Yeah,
Narcan there.
But at the same time, people respond differently. So the traumatic thing was that she didn't know her husband or Pierre was on drugs. So when she found him, this is over a period of maybe 3 or 5 minutes. So it's kind of time lapse. So I had done the drugs. I collapsed, and then the devil, the one that was on me all the time in my subconsciousness, was laughing because I died, and he won the battle. So that's the message there, and I was doing drugs heavily, and I died on the scene right there.
That's terrible.
Yeah, and that's how it is in reality. A lot of people are going through that, and a lot of people are in denial. And you can't be in denial when you're on drugs. If you're on drugs, let somebody know you're on drugs so you can get the proper help, and don't wait till it's too late.
Oh, we have a caller. Caller, do you have a comment or question for Dr. Ratliff?
Actually, no, but Miss Kowalski, this is Ray again.
Hi, Ray.
I have a great idea for a show next week.
What's your great idea, Ray?
And I want that about sanctuary cities, whether your forum are against them. Myself, I'm against them, and I'm Mexican-American. But I just don't like them getting ahead of the citizens here, the United States, especially Chicago, a safe zone.
Ray, that's a great idea. I think we should have a show about that.
Yeah,
I'm going to see if I can get a guest on next week to see if we can talk about sanctuary cities. But right now, before I forget, I wanted Dr. Ratliff to play some music for us. He is quite the talented guitarist. If you don't mind, we're going to have him play something.
Well, when I chill out, you know, I just jam. I'm doing jazz now, so. That's one of my jazz tracks. It's called My Thoughts.
Did you have something that was along with the opioid one?
No, because I need the entire band.
Oh.
And that's because there's saxophone and guitars and stuff like that on there. But
you're a very talented guitarist. Do you have anything else to share with our audience? Caller, do you have a comment or question for Dr. Ratliff?
Well, hiya, Mrs. Kowalski.
Oh, hi, Paula. How are you tonight?
Fine. How you doing over there, Mr. Guitar Man?
How you doing, Paula?
Do you have a comment or question for Mr. Guitar Man?
Sing a happy song. Let's sing it. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Listen, drugs. Drugs were going back for a long way, sir. You know that. I know that. Kowalski knows that. If a person wants to stop drugs, they're going to stop drugs or do a little bit less drugs or maybe someday completely stop drugs. It's not just the people that are incarcerated that are on drugs. There's people outside incarcerated that are on drugs. I think personally I like that medical marijuana stuff. I wish they kind of passed that a little bit more in the state of Illinois. Maybe stop a little bit of the crimes down on the streets, people going to get this and going to get that. That's just marijuana. You look good with that guitar, boy. That looked pretty good. Sing Mrs. Kowalski a song and ask her, hey, I'm supposed to be sitting right between the two of yous over there.
Oh, next week I'm hoping we can get you on.
Yes, I will definitely call you again. But, sir, you're doing a great...
Next week we're going to be talking about sanctuary cities.
Absolutely, sanctuary cities and the guardian angels. Hey, sir.
Yeah, but Paula, what do you think about the opioid crisis? Apparently the heroin's really strong nowadays.
What's that?
People are dying.
Can you hear me?
Not just a couple, a lot of people are dying.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Paula.
Yes, I know a lot of people are dying. They got to put it down. Got to find something better to do with your time. Poor people got too much more time on their hands than money. And whatever little money they got, they're spending it on that. And I'll tell you one thing, when the drugs is gone, you still got the same problem that you had before you began the drugs. Only now you got a little bit more problems. So
exactly.
What you got to do,
compound things.
What you got to do is grab that little guitar like that little man next to you, figure out something else to do with your life, because life is a long time. A lot of good things you could do in this world. I would like to be an advocate myself. Mrs. Kowalski, I was back in college at one time. We got a lot.
Paula, who are you going to be an advocate for?
I would like to be an advocate for the Cook County people that are incarcerated. Exactly what you're standing for, Mrs. Greenslate. Got a lot of nice things to say. But that man there playing that guitar, you play your music, stay off that stuff and try to teach the people of Chicago how to get better, get back on track.
Thank you.
And I'll call you later, Mrs. Kowalski.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paula. By all means, Dr. Philander.
Music is the key
Music
to
is the
success
key to success.
and recovery.
Well, Dr. Ratliff, I am just enamored with you because you are a self-made man.
Appreciate it.
You've made your way through medical school all by yourself.
Yes, I have. Thank you
And
very much.
can you tell our audience a little bit about that? I think it's miraculous.
Medical school, well, like any school, is a challenge. It was a challenge. The greatest part of it was the basic sciences where I can apply the first 2 years of training into what was really going to be in front of me. So when I did internal medicine, I was in North Carolina. I was with Dr. Kelling. I did there for 3 months. It was a very intense program there. And the stuff that I learned in the basic sciences as well as nursing, I was able to apply to the clinical aspect. When I did community medicine with Dr. Stuart Green and Dr. Reed from the University of Illinois, I did community medicine with people who were post-drug substance abuse, and we would go door to door 3 days a week and see how they were doing, to make sure they were managing their medication, to make sure they were going to their therapy. I mean, it's not an overnight cure. You know, the stuff that you have been suffering from day one, your childhood, if it's a past experience of being abused or having some kind of traumatic experiences, that's going to sit in your subconscious for many, many years. Yeah. So what happens is something triggers that. You know, it's going to come out as depression, anxiety, or even substance abuse. So when a patient starts doing substance abuse or using drugs, they're leaning on that to cure their problem. And it's not a cure, it's a problem.
Like Paula said, it just compounds it.
It compounds it. So medicinal marijuana, I don't have a say-so on that because, I mean, I'm not really objective because I'm a little biased because that's part of feeding the problem, you know, because that, if you have anorexia or if you have AIDS or cancer or something like that, that stimulates the crave to eat. But at the same time, other people start lacing marijuana with other substances, and then you're back to the square one where you started off at. Even though it's medicinal, because it gets out of hand. You know, this person might start selling the medicinal marijuana to a substance abuser so he can eat or feed his former habit. You know, so that's one of my biases on that.
So I guess the best cure is to not start in the first place. So resist the dare.
Yeah.
And if you're having difficulties coping with your problems in your life from whatever trauma that you've suffered through, that the best advice is to what, Dr. Phil?
I personally think, you know, you have to pray. You have to go to God. You have to get the family back together. You have to, if you don't have a family, find a family. Find a family out in the community. Other programs are, like I said, after school programs. They have adult programs that you can go to that you can start healing. But if you run to a drug for a quick solution, that's not going to be a solution. That's going to add to your problems that you already have in existence.
And what if you're hanging out with other people that do drugs?
Well, you have to get away from them. Run as fast as you can. Run as far as you can because over the last 40 years, I've been out of high school almost 40 years. I mean, I've seen many, many friends, many friends die, come through the ER when I was an ER nurse or a trauma nurse, and it's serious. People are actually dying that you grew up with, that you watched when you were 10, 11 years old. You know, I've had so many close friends succumb to the drugs or a problem from the drugs.
So get out of the current situation and find your support network.
Get out of there.
Whether it's prayer, new friends,
prayer, faith, God, love yourself.
Program, your family.
Yeah, love yourself first, man. You have to love yourself first. And then you, like I said, God, and you got to get to a structured program, not just a temporary program.
All right, fantastic. Any parting words for our viewers there, Dr. Philander Ratliff?
Basically, stay confident, stay faithful, love yourself, love God, and find a program. If you're on drugs, find a program that's structured. No matter how expensive or how cheap it is, it's up to you. It all comes down to what you believe in.
Well, thank you for watching and participating in today's show.
You're welcome.
I'm Jan Kowalski with Greenslate, and I was joined here by Dr. Philander Ratliff.
Thank you very much.
And next week, hopefully, we'll have a show on sanctuary cities. I'll see if I can find a guest for you. And thank you for joining us, and have a good night.
Thank you very much.